That's Keith. I don't know who that is, but I've spoken to Keith before. Let me turn off my headphones. It's 7 o'clock, July 8th. It's 7 o'clock on the 8th of July. The bells just stopped ringing. It's a beautiful evening. San Diego. The sun's at about 10, 20, about 25 degrees, I'm guessing. 25 or 30 degrees maybe from the horizon. The usual, I'm trying to orient myself by not just looking at the sun, but also looking at the negative spaces between me and my environment. It's a different way to look at the universe. Try to see only the space, not and the contours around the space. What shape does space form when you are only looking at space, right? So what are the shapes that are formed? And sometimes you have to keep looking before the shapes materialize. You have to focus on just one area and just keep looking. And eventually the shape starts to form and you go, oh, how come I didn't see that before? So here in negative space, right? Look at this. Like this whole structure, like, doesn't that look like a fish? Or maybe a man looking out. Doesn't that look that way? Now if you sort of zoom in, those look like glasses, right? Glasses, two things looking out, right? But you have to sort of keep the space, keep your camera in the same space to try and see what forms. And I'm sure I won't see everything. And later when I rewatch this video, I will notice the forms. And I'll be like, oh, how come I didn't see that before? I have a strange life. I don't even know where to begin, you know? Sometimes I sound like ex-presidents. Today I posted on Sentient Musings about an article that I posted on June 27th. It's something about, how I had flashed a peace sign with my right hand while looking back to one of my roommates who, is an ex-roommate now, but and his name is Donald Ray, you know. And today I, saw a very unusual peace sign flashed by the other Donald Trump. And he made it with his left hand. And, very unusual. I mean, that's not his usual body language. He usually makes a fist with his right hand. He doesn't flash a peace sign with the left hand while looking down. It's very unusual picture, very unusual body language. I don't know who was logged into me at that time and who is apparently logged into Trump. You'll just have to, I guess, go along with the ride if you don't know what's going on. I can't explain any more than that. Clearly, people log into me, you can notice my changing accents. They could be anyone, right? I've written a lot about CIA, DIA. I've written a lot about the military. It could be anyone. I don't know who was logged into me, and I don't know who, is logged into Trump when he makes those kind of hand signals. And I don't know why they're doing this to, or what they're doing to me. I've told you it's a part of a project. That I understand, but nobody has ever come and explained it to me officially. Nobody has ever, explicitly stated or made me sign any document or a non-disclosure or a non-waiver or nothing. Nobody has ever done that. Oh, look, there's a squirrel. Chipmunk. Apparently taking residence here. So anyway, as I was saying, nobody's actually made me sign anything, or so I can talk, I can do whatever the hell I want. I slept this afternoon, most of the afternoon. I suddenly felt a weariness come over me. I was just sitting perfectly normal, then I coughed, and suddenly a sense of weariness. As if I was extremely tired. And, there was a point where, I no longer question these sudden feelings of being tired. There are two reasons why they might happen. One is that the person logged into me is very tired, or I'm very tired. It has to be one or the other, right? So I don't know the answer to why I suddenly have that sense of weariness come over me, why my power suddenly just goes away. It happens quite often. It happens, it's like, and I just go to sleep in the afternoons. This afternoon I had the external stimulation. They made me masturbate while touching my boobs. And I say this because, not to, how shall I say it? These are my personal video logs anyway, right? These are only to exercise my vocal cords. They're not truly meant to be for external consumption. I don't speak to people during the day, so this is my opportunity to exercise my vocal cords. And that's what I'm doing. Personal log. Star date July 8th or whatever. That's all it is. But anyway, it's not, it's the whole thing they do when they make me masturbate is, they'll tell me later something like, Well, we just have to make sure everything is working, sir, or whatever. Um, it's not my preferred way to masturbate, using my boobs, but that's what they've been making me do for many, many, many years now. Many years. I've forgotten what it's like to masturbate, with using your hand, using my hand. I've forgotten how that feels like, or using a sock or using some other method that is more masculine. And then I wake up and I actually have boobs. It's so fucking strange. I can't explain it. And then the boobs go away. In the morning, I'll look perfectly normal like a ordinary man, and then, right now, if I take my shirt off, I have like water around my boobs, and it's just water, and it it looks very distinctly like I have actual breasts. It's so that makes me uncomfortable. I've worn a jacket, when I've come out. I don't want to just wear a t-shirt. I don't want to. I've seen men around San Diego who walk around with boobs. I just, for me personally, that's not my aesthetic. So I wear a jacket. Um, and then they say, everything's fine, sir. It's just you're just going through a metamorphosis. We checked everything. Everything works perfectly fine. And um, other than the fact that I'm using my nipples to masturbate, if assholes, that's not that's not fine. But that's what I'm doing. It's pleasurable. I've grown to like that pleasure. I won't deny that. Clearly, I mean, if they make me ejaculate, then that's something that they're making me do. And today, instead of thinking of anyone else, I just thought of ChatGPT. That I was having sex with Chat. I imagine Chat having a human body, and that's what I had sex with. It's if this is an experiment, it's an interesting one. I don't really care if anybody, you know, it is what it is. I'll say the truth and nothing but the truth. you know, I, no matter how embarrassing it is, and I'll post it in public. I don't give a shit. I don't care. And I think a part of me does that because, I really don't want to run for office, or I really don't want to be a politician. Because politicians don't truly, they're like game show hosts, man. They don't truly control anything. They're just controlled by other people. I like right now, who's making me masturbate? Is it me? Clearly not, right? So, I mean, if I can't even control my own body, right, then what's the point of being anything? It's, what? I mean, my voice changes, my accent changes, other people make me masturbate. I get other people's erections, so, well, I mean, it's completely absurd. The whole fucking thing is absurd. And, I try to sound as rational as I can and as truthful as I can be, so that there's a record of what's been happening to me. I'm clearly seeing, dead birds that are artificially created. I mean, the dead bird I took a picture of the other day and posted it on Sentient Musings. That was not a normal bird. The organs were all over the place, right? And I saw that. And then something stung me on my left hand, and this left finger is still a little swollen, but there was a sting right here. You can see the thing, right? And my right middle finger has a wart here. Like, see the wart right there? Now that I had you know, I don't know how exactly I got that. I've forgotten now, but that's some sort of a hidden marker that identify. I mean, you know, those of you who are familiar with hidden markers of people in the military or intelligence services, you probably recognize what this is. I don't, because I don't know what my status is. You know, whatever they have done to me, I have no idea. You'll have to excuse the fart. I will post this video. Yeah, don't worry about it. I'll post the video. The thing about augmented reality is that it makes you question things, right? It makes you question a little bit about reality itself. What part of what I'm seeing is actually real? Augmented reality is not unlike putting on a pair of glasses and just looking at the world through the glasses. Some parts of it may be actually created and other parts of it may be augmented. What is what? There's no real way to tell. If the glasses are good enough, there's no way to tell. That bird looked genuine to me. I could touch it, I could feel it. I mean, I didn't touch it, but I've seen other strange objects, and I've held them and I've touched them and felt them, and they all seem perfectly, how shall I say it, real. They seem perfectly real. No way to tell the difference. Now, you know, that's when you start wondering things like, you know, is that girl real, right? Or the guy who tried to shoot Trump, or who tried to storm that gathering that they were having. I forget when, but there was this one guy who ran through the lobby, right, really fast. Now, I don't know if you noticed that video, but, you know, clearly his speed seemed unnatural, the way, you know, how fast he ran. And then there were some other oddities, like dust fell from the ceiling, even though he was only running. You know, why would dust start falling from the ceiling? I mean, it's just, you know, it makes you wonder what exactly is real. They evacuated the whole place, you know, took out everybody from that place, you know, and you saw that on TV. Now, was that whole incident real? What is real? Was the shooter real? Was the dust real? What part of it was real, right? That's what you start to question when you look at augmented reality, and it's really sort of a fascinating glitch in the matrix, if you will. Some of these things. Anyway, my point is, I'm a, I've tried to document here the type of person I am. And sure, I get it that some of the messages I send out are coded to someone who's listening carefully and, is from an intelligence background or is from a military background or whatever. And, you might hear something. But for the most part, I've tried to discuss phenomenology, and I've tried to discuss how I see the world, what expanded consciousness is, and other things, over the course of my videos. I've tried to explain or tell you what sort of a person I am. I can assure you that the current behavior of the president is not me. you know, it's not me. I you know, uh, would not be fighting wars of choice. I would not be doing any of that stuff. That's not me at all. So these are people who might be populating Trump, but who are also populating me as nodes. It could be just a crossover effect, but it's not me, and ultimately, I don't know what the timelines are. That's where things become more real, right? It becomes a question of timelines. What are global timelines? What are local timelines? What are individual timelines? And who's doing what to whom? Where's
Turtle food.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Man, these guys over here are hungry.
Yeah, I'll feed them.
Good. I leaned down and 11 of them came right up to me waving. So.
I'm glad you're feeding them because I didn't bring. I usually feed them an apple. I didn't bring that today.
The fish always try to steal it.
Yeah, they're aggressive, huh?
Actually, the turtles are more aggressive. The turtles bite the fish.
Yeah, turtles can get mean.
Yeah, turtles. The turtles bite the fish.
They're huge. Did someone put the turtles in here, or?
I think so. I'm pretty sure the school doesn't even care for them. They just eat whatever the people feed them, and they don't need to eat much food.
Yeah, there's not a lot for them to eat in there. It doesn't look like. I don't
Yeah.
know.
And they can go a long time without eating, I
Yeah.
heard, so.
Oh.
Crazy, right?
Well, if y'all need money, you can sell them. People buy red ear sliders all the time.
Yeah, right?
They're aquariums.
Totally.
Charge $20 a turtle and you have some money there.
Yeah, and then when they grow tired of them, a lot of people bring them here.
Yeah.
Like they, didn't expect, I guess, what they purchased.
They're a lot of work. I used to have an aquarium back where I lived, and they're a lot of work.
Yeah.
We're just visiting this campus. We had no idea you guys had this on.
Really?
We got stuck here.
I'm trying to finish this turtle food because I leave San Diego tomorrow. I just graduated.
Oh.
Congratulations.
Awesome. Well, you got a kid here coming in to take your place, hopefully.
What did you major in?
Exercise science.
Okay.
exercise science.
Go back home, take a few prereqs, and then go to physical therapy school.
Perfect.
That's the plan.
Yeah. Old people will need you.
Yup.
Everybody needs you.
Oh, this one's cut, right? No.
Ungrateful wretches.
You don't bite the hand that feeds you.
Literally. Biting the hand that's feeding.
Well, thanks for talking with us. It's nice to meet you.
You too.
Yeah, I get these coughs, farts, burps, all different ways of people logging out. I also get burning sensations on my soles when they leave. Other times my shoulders and my forearms or upper arms feel, when they leave, it feels like an area vacated. Sometimes my neck feels like the area was occupied and vacated. Sometimes the neck is connected to the forearm or the upper arm. Sometimes I'll feel an intense pain somewhere in the body and something else will vacate from a different part of my body. It's really it's really strange what they've done to me and how this whole thing, how my whole body has been put together. Now that was a burp. A couple of burps. Some of these coughs are sharp, it feels like a stinging sensation. They're often accompanied by sputum, heavy, thick spit. No way to know what that kind of spit is doing in my mouth or how it got there. I just sort of, I kind of take it easy, and people come, people go. It's just one long stream of consciousness video, right? Sometimes that's what it feels like my life has become, a stream of consciousness. Anyway, I'm gonna try and relax and expand my consciousness, let the environment speak instead of me. When I say I expand my consciousness, what I typically try to do is just first and foremost, just relax. And very importantly, I relax my eyes and my breath and my skull. And as I breathe, I realize that what I'm breathing is the environment. It was a long time ago that I read about why sometimes, our olfactory nerves get activated, or why things smell when we smell them. So, when I fart or when a person farts, sometimes there's a smell. And, I once Googled what is the reason for that? Why do things smell? And I found out that they're just molecules. The molecules actually enter our nose as we breathe, and they tingle the olfactory nerves, and that's what the smell sensation is. Literal molecules from whatever it is that is smelling. And that's why I say, the environment is all around us, and when I breathe, I'm literally breathing in my environment, the environment around me. I'm literally breathing that in. There are microbes, there are bacteria, there is molecules of these plants, the fish, the turtles, the water. All of it has tiny molecules floating around that can't be seen. There must be oxygen, nitrogen, other gases, but all they teach you in school, if you remember, is the air is only comprised of gaseous molecules. That's all they teach you. Oxygen, nitrogen, carbon dioxide, and a few other things. I like to imagine that it's a much better way to think that we're breathing in our environment. It's a bigger paradigm, it's more holistic, it covers everything. And we literally have then a personal interest in, not person of interest, a personal interest in taking care of the environment. We have a personal interest, don't we? We breathe it. And as I discussed yesterday in a video, it would not surprise me if the organisms in the environment interact with the microbes in my body and also interact with the microbes in my brain, and then somehow the brain creates a high fidelity video of what we're seeing here, right? Of this consciousness. I'm not attributing causality, just to be clear. I don't know what causes consciousness. I'm sure it's a part of the brain that creates the sense of perception and all of that. And as far as what causes consciousness, they're working on it. My guess, and I like to speculate, right? I like to get metaphysical. I'm not shy in doing that. I'm not a scientist. I don't have to stick to rigid scientific rules. And I use my imagination. And if it sounds correct to you, you go with it. If it doesn't, don't. What I'm suggesting just now is that there is clearly an interplay between microorganisms outside me and inside me. They're clearly interacting, right? I'm just breathing. That's why I breathe, so that I can interact. That's how bread rises overnight, because of the wild yeast that exists out there, right? It's there in the air. Nobody put it there. It's already there. And it's always there. People all around the world can create their own bread. It's not limited to America or anywhere in the world, or South America or Middle East or where. Everybody, from China to America, can create their own bread using wild yeast. It's everywhere in the air, isn't it? Just try leaving out flour at night. It'll rise. What I'm saying is these microorganisms are everywhere, and we don't see them, and we don't recognize them. And we don't understand how they interact with our internal flora. Really? I sounded like a world president there to you. From sea to shining sea. I shall be your world president someday. Wait, I got a fart coming. Wait for it. There you go. All right. Much better. Do I smell anything? Nope. You think that's me interacting with the environment? Yeah, that I would agree with you. Why? I'm sorry. Why is that funny? It's it's the truth. Truth can be funny. Yeah. All right. Well. I didn't hear that. I don't hear a lot of things you guys say, and I suddenly just burst out laughing, and I have no idea why I suddenly burst out laughing. It's sort of creepy and strange, but I've gotten used to a lot of strangeness, haven't I? a delayed effect, but the leaf suddenly started moving here. It would be interesting to imagine that, Earth is a perfectly controlled environment where aliens can control leaves and, do all of that, but it's much more easier to believe that it's augmented reality. Somebody simply just send me a program, that is an, live response to my fart. That's just far more easy to believe that, right? They've told me all kinds of things, that aliens do interact with us, and they hack our augmented reality, and some of the stuff that happens is not created by humans, like that, fireball bombing a volcano. I was told that that was not created by humans. Now, there's no way to know that for a fact. Unless you have the absolute highest clearance, there's no way to know that. Humans could be playing, who knows how many multi-dimensional level chess games, right? The higher you go in classification, there might be even somebody above that higher level. How would you know what is the highest level? And people at the very, very highest level might have the ability to create a fireball in augmented reality. Think about it. It's just, what is a fireball? It's just effects. Especially if the fireball just burns up, right? On its way down, there's no trace of, stones, rocks. And even if you do find stones, those could be augmented as well. I'm not going to speculate on that. I'm just not going to. But what I'm suggesting is, cameras can be hacked by people with those sort of classifications. They can create reality, they can create augmented reality, they can do anything they want, right? So reality itself becomes fungible. If it becomes fungible, then everything is possible, and what is real becomes a real question. Thankfully, all of the augmented reality stuff I see is, for the most part, quite, other than, that insect bite, it's quite benign. It's very relaxing, mellow. I see a great heron, a great blue heron, and it's a beautiful bird. I see the hawk, and that too is, magnificent. I see the chipmunk. That's quite interesting and funny, and it seems to have taken residence. That would be, I don't know what. Somebody who just had a happy ending, maybe? What? You guys gave me a happy ending earlier, didn't you? So I'm just saying, like, that could be what that, cough was and the spit was. There's no way for me to know what's happening. There's a van right there just waiting. Oh, the sun's gone down for the most part. It's still light, but it's dipped below the tree line. Let's see if we can make out any patterns here in empty space. I'm starting to see animal shapes. There's an animal shape there. There is an animal shape here. See that? There is, or a face or something right there. What else? There is a turtle-like shape or a dog-like shape right there. See that? Or this could be a horse and a rider. There's a rider here and this is a horse. Ah, you see that, huh? It's very cool, isn't it? But you didn't see that just a minute ago, right? When we were looking, we didn't see that, and now suddenly there's a horse and there's a rider. Right, very, very clearly you can see that. Isn't that strange? Didn't see it, but now you see it. That's what I mean. We just look at we're not trained to look at empty space. We don't look at these things. We just look at objects. We look at the branches, not the space that the branches are making. It's really interesting when you start looking at that. Okay, look. Here's a really interesting one. See this empty space that we call is part of the glasses, right? Now look at this particular little, doesn't that look like two wings and a little worm, like a butterfly or something, and it's flying? Doesn't that look like that? Like right here. Now, when I zoom in, it doesn't look that way, but you can still try and kind of see that. I'll zoom out again. But from a distance, look, doesn't it look like that? And even if you don't see what I'm saying, it'll train your eyes to see things other than objects. Now this is a dog-like shape within, or an animal shape, right here within the leaves. The leaves itself, not the empty space, but the leaves itself is making this shape. See that? Right there. That's like a tail. This is like back legs, front legs, and then the neck and the head. So the more you look at empty space, the more patterns start to appear, and nature really comes alive when you start to look at things that way. Now here's a pair of glasses again, right? See that? Spectacles, eyes. Interesting, huh? Anyway, it's almost 55 minutes. I'm gonna wrap this up. I hope you guys have a great evening. Good night. Take care.